Thanks for tuning in to an all-new season of NAC Car Culture, your home of tough muscle cars, classic cruisers and high-performance imports. Proudly brought to you by NAC Insurance, specialists in modified and high-performance cars. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. And Teng Tools, get organised. Coming up in this episode, we hit the South's biggest car show, Muscle Car Madness, and drop in and light up at Surfab in Christchurch. But to get us started, the crew from Mount Shop kick things off with this week's feature car, Carl Thompson's fire-breathing quad-rotor Aristo.
I don't know, ever since I was a kid, I'll be pulling levers of some sort, and something, whether it'll be a digger or a truck or a crane, and then it started with a go-kart, so definitely machinery. Well, I like the sort of the VIP style type Japanese cars, the Aristo especially. I wanted one, basically. Yeah, that's when it started, I guess. Definitely not supposed to be this serious. We had a budget in mind and it was supposed to be quite basic actually, but this seems to be my basic, so. So we started by actually chopping the whole car out, chopping the floors out. And then from there we put chassis rails in it to obviously strengthen the whole car up. And then was the live axle rearing, adjustable roll centre. It's got a competition racing housing with a Ford 9-inch diff. And then gearbox-wise, we've now got a Hollinger in it. We've been through a few gearboxes with this. Not because it was wrecking them, just because of, obviously, development. So it's got a 6-speed Hollinger in it now. Direct clutch, Dormo clutches for me. So a nice twin-plate clutch from Aussie. They're strong as.
Getting the luxury barge fighting fit was no small task, with the crews from Rolling Addiction, Quest Fabrication, C's Garage and SMS Fabrication all playing a hand in the Aristo's overhaul, while the job of motivating the Jap tank was entrusted to Brent Curran of Curran Brothers Racing.
The engine package is a 4-liter turbo. We're running a GDX 55 Garrett on there. 160mm teal wastegates. She's got a 5-inch exhaust, so generally no mufflers, but can have mufflers if it's too loud. Custom intercooler piping, intake manifold runners, 1600cc Bosch injectors, and she's roughly putting out around that 1200 horse at the wheels, depending on what boost we run. I always knew that I was going to have to be, say heavy on the clutch. They're not a V8, but at the same time, if you're prepared to drive it like you stole it all day, every day, it works just fine. We have NOS in it as well too, so I don't actually drive without NOS. I don't find it fun, so it's good stuff.
While plans are afoot for a shot at competitive drifting, for now, Carl's quite happy throwing the car round the corners at days like this one. D1NZ's practice session at Pukekohe Park Raceway. As the rest of the pack dial in their lines for qualifying, Carl's focus is firmly on getting the best from both car and driver.
I just try and, stay as calm as possible, and I don't think too much. I think if you think too much, you generally end up kooking it. And we don't want that, so yeah, I just cruise. No rush for nothing, and just in your own time. It generally works fine. Kind of feels like my little K70 did. It's in proportion. It's a big car. People get all, wowed by the power of it, but the truth of it is it's 1,630 kilos. So, that's it's a big car. It's a big car, and especially when you're moving it that fast. I get a lot of joy out of it, I'm very fussy, but at the same time, when I do get to go to the track and use the thing, and it's going good, it makes my day. I couldn't be happier, So when we go out and we put the thing on 30 PSI and she's popping and banging and built it to beat it, You know, every time I go to the track, I'm not afraid to break it or bash it, because I feel like if I was to become afraid of that car or whatever, it'll chew me up, spit me out, you know, so I don't mind beating on it. I feel good doing it. Genuinely.
Want to check out more of Carl's slide spec Aristo? Jump onto themotorhood.com. Okay, moving right along, and it's time to head for the mainland for the South's biggest car show, the 26th Muscle Car Madness.
The name Madness, it describes it, yeah. There's lights on at night time, there's V8s, and there's like people yelling and...
I don't know where you'd start. You know, when you see couches driving around and, you know, chili bins with motors and stuff like that, it's, you know, I suppose you'd sit there and scratch your head for a while.
Yeah, don't plan on getting a lot of sleep, eh? There's been a few times where, yeah, we've watched the sun come up, yeah, and completely regretted it.
Oh, noise, music, a lot of people, barbecues, you know, it's summer, it's cars. I don't know, you just look forward to it after every winter, man. You just, like you do your projects in the garage, and big hours in the garage, and then you come out here and, you know, everything comes together.
Muscle Car Madness is the handiwork of Craig Stair and his support crew, and with the show now chalking up 26 years, it's one of the longest running events in the country. And while Rangiora plays host to the show, sitting still isn't high on the priority list, with plenty of cruising both in and out of the showgrounds, plus the ever-popular burnout pad on hand.
26 years, yeah. Come to the first one, I had an HQ that I built up, and I was at the shop getting some wiring done. I come back and there was a note on the window saying we're having this muscle car show out at Rangiora, you should come out and check it out. So yeah, I did. I didn't know anyone that was into cars at all myself, and come out for the first year. I think it was 43 cars entered for the weekend, and got to know a few guys and joined a car club with them, and yeah, got into it. Over the years it's changed a bit, but it's still the same sort of deal, you know. Come out, put your tent up, you know, you see the same guys out here every year that you've met the year before, and it's a bit like bloody Groundhog Day in a way, you know, yeah. I actually bought it from Auckland. It was a nice straight car when I bought it, and it was running 350 trans. I stripped all the running gear out of it. I had a big block 454 that I was running in a LH Tirana, but I wanted something that handled better, so put the big block in it. Yeah, got it handling a lot better, and then last year I was starting to get a wee bit bored with it, so I put a TKO 600 in it and turned it into a manual, and yeah, so now it's a bit of a pig to drive in traffic. It's funny because I was thinking the other day, that big block's been to 23 Muscle Car Madnesses in 3 different cars. I kind of attached to it, I think.
And keeping it a family affair, Ian's wife Claire is also an MCM regular. Although far from content to sit in the passenger seat, she came armed with a mild custom 56 Pontiac Chieftain.
I wanted a big cruisy car. My husband's into muscle cars and he's got the engines and the power, and I just wanted a cruiser, and I just wanted something big like that. And when I saw the picture of it, I'm like, yep, look at that, that's what I want. It was pink and grey. The pink was lovely. Grey was all right. It needed a little bit of work in the rear end, so we got that fixed up and just repainted grey. And we're just eventually going to redo something with it. And then we got looked up by a car model agent, and he placed the car in a movie, and they wanted it grey all over, old school grey. And when we painted it that colour, we were like, oh wow, this looks good. So we just jazzed it up and made it satin, and there it is, yeah. There are other Pontiacs around, not many. There are others in their 50s in New Zealand, but few and far between. And it would be great to see another Pontiac in an event in 1956. It'd be awesome, but hard to see, hard to find.
While the showground stockyards had done the job in the past, the recent addition of a more purpose-built burnout pad gave the test pilots a whole lot more room to play, and the public front row seating. Away from the tyre smoke was Tim and his Model A Tudor, sporting a fair few updates from when it left the Ford factory.
It was pretty rotten. The grand plan was just to build a Model A. I didn't care what Model A it was. I wanted a coupe or a truck or a two-door. And I found a two-door in Nelson. Went to pick it up with the trailer. He said it was all in bits and pieces, but when I got there, all he meant was the body's not bolted to the chassis. So we had this little garden trailer and we put the body on, chassis on the side. Then my mate decided to buy a flathead, so we put that in there and towed it with ball tyres back to Christchurch. I just had a vision one day of building a woodie because the car was so rusty. And I was a bit of a tight ass at the time. I didn't want to buy new panels, so I just came up with this idea. And the airbag suspension, I was just going to put them in the back. And I was like, well, might as well put them in the front too. I saw a picture of a Model A Salt Racer coupe, and it had a four-banger and no grille and no grille surround, and it just looked so neat. I thought, man, I could do that. Give it a go. I knew it would be okay if I could build it to the picture in my head, but it could have been a packing crate on wheels, and friends of mine said it's going to make it or break it, you know. But thankfully it worked out all right.
And we've got a whole lot more from Muscle Car Madness later in the show. But up next on NAC Car Culture, garage burnouts and old school Toyota cool at Christchurch's Surfab. You're back with NAC Car Culture, kindly brought to you by the good people at NAC Insurance, Teng Tools and Mount Shop. There's more motoring mayhem from Muscle Car Madness coming up, plus a visit to Christchurch's Surfab. But first, we stop in at Mitchell Race Extreme for this week's NAC Tech Tip.
The purpose of the cage, two reasons: driver protection and chassis stiffness. With any car build or just a base roll cage, pen and paper is the best place to start. Plan a cage for the car, for what kind of racing you're going to do. 6 point means you got basically 6 base plates around the car, 2 on the rear struts, 2 for the main hoop, roughly just behind where the driver's seat would be, and then another 2 from the front laterals down by the bottom of the A-pillar where your feet would be, and then an 8 point goes through to the front struts to tie that all in. And then you design, you basically fill the bits in between. Diagonals, harness bar, rear strut stays, lower rear stays. Everybody has their own way of doing cages, but they all comes down to those same base plates. 10 different ways of doing the same thing, basically. It's all about protecting the organic matter in the driver's seat.
Cheers, Nick. OK, thanks to Teng Tools, it's time now to sneak in the doors of Christchurch's Surfab to get an old-school Toyota fix and do garage burnouts, naturally.
We're a small company based in Christchurch called Surfab. We specialise in mainly old-school cars, but we do a bit of everything. It's all just sort of fabrication, engine conversions, roll cages, race car prep. I was never a fan of that whole big chrome wheels sort of thing. I've always liked cars that actually perform rather than look good, and I'm a big believer of if you make a car perform, it ends up looking good as a finished product. Like being low and you put wide wheels on it to get it to handle good, you know, they do end up just looking good from that. And it is nice when you do get a job where it is, you know, a SR20 into a Silvia, you know, where it's made for that car, and you can go to a catalogue and you can buy parts that bolt on and it all just goes together. But unfortunately it's not what we sort of specialise in, so we, everything's pretty custom, so you end up spending a bit of time just, you know, even just standing there looking at something, trying to figure it out. It's an RA28 Celica. We managed to, a friend of mine actually was looking for it, and we spent a while trying to find one and sort of gave up, and then we came across this one in Blenheim. We managed to convince the owner to sell it reluctantly, so we brought that back down here and pulled it to bits, replacing the 18R twin cam with 3SG beams, and just doing the usual things like throttle bodies, headers. We're going to sort of delume the engine bay. We'll put a pedal box inside the car, so we get rid of that out of the engine bay. It's going to be reasonably simple setup, and just keep it really tidy and pretty original looking, obviously apart from the motor.
Surfab has had a hand in a number of local cars, including Dan's Beams-powered KE70, a British touring car championship-inspired Corolla that you'll see a whole lot more of in a couple of episodes' time.
A lot of the stuff we do is, you know, people want to be able to use them on the road as well as the track. It does make things a lot harder. You know, there's a lot more paperwork involved and regulations and stuff like that to have it on the road. The cert process is getting harder and harder by the day. No, it is cool to be able to use a car more than just on the track and, you know, have something for multi-purpose, so get a bit more use out of it.
And built to tear up the track as well as the workshop, Simon's own AE85.
Well, this is actually my own personal car. It's an A85 Corolla, and it's also got the Beams 3SGE. We've gone the turbo route with this one, and we've built the motor with some low compression pistons and some decent rods. Kept it pretty simple as well, but once you put a bit of boost through them, they really start making some good power. So I actually built this car for another customer and then sort of acquired it after doing some more work on a different car for him. So it's sort of, I didn't plan on owning it, but it sort of turned out that way, but I'm not going to complain. I'd sort of see it as a bit of a lifestyle almost. It's because I live above the workshop with my partner and our wee dog. I wouldn't be doing it if I loved doing it. I mean, I've thought many times about just getting a job, working for someone else, and, you know, I've sort of gone to do it and then realised, you know, if I'm going to be stuck sort of on a production line doing the same stuff day in, day out, and I don't know, after doing this, working on different cars all the time, sometimes it gets pretty draining. You come across something that's a bit of a headache, but you get through it and definitely enjoy it when stuff's going good.
We're not done yet. We've just got enough time to head back for a second helping of Craig Stair's mind-melting muscle car madness.
Well, it's muscle car madness. You can come out here and just enjoy yourself. There's rules and everything else, like everything, but you know, you can still cruise around every night and, you know, do stuff that you can't do anywhere else.
Yeah, we're from the south, so yeah, things are different, a wee bit more relaxed and low-key, but it's still a very well-organised and well-run event.
Dusty and dirty and loud, but, you know, bring your earplugs, you're right, you can get some sleep.
Making its big debut was David Jeffrey's semi-rat creation, very loosely based around an Essex.
28 SX body that I found up in a barn up in Culverton. Basically stripped it down, it was really good nick. All 4 doors are suicide, which is quite unique. The chassis is a Chevy Suburbia, and I'm running Jag axles all the way through. I like creating, you know, making something from something. These things, the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want, within reason, you know, safety-wise and stuff.
And while the Jeffrey construction crew didn't exactly mess about on the semi-rat build, they really lifted their game on this one, pitching in to piece the roadster together in just 9 days.
Whatever they bring here, it's their pride. So if it's half finished or quarter finished, it doesn't matter as long as, you know, same as this black one we built. You know, it's not road legal at the moment, but the owner's going to get a lot of enjoyment out of driving around. No, it's a cool event. Interesting vehicles.
Interesting is also a good word for the monster coach that Ben Johnson unveiled on the Friday night with showground shenanigans in mind. While it might not pick up a warrant anytime soon, it did take out people's choice. And when Graham's not travelling in theme, he trades in his teeth and cape for this low-slung A Roadster.
Everyone seems to strive to get some sort of project, whether it's something to tow around the ring or a car finished.
The rod runs a 350 small block Chev and Power Glide combo and actually started out as a Glass 27 Roadster before the body was switched out for a Brookville Model A reproduction mated up to an original 28 cow.
Original 27s are a bit lower than this model of car, the 28. So when you had to use the firewall to go by, the whole thing dropped about 2 inches, which makes it even lower still. I've got the other 2 project cars. I've got a 48 Chevy pickup I'm doing, and plus the 39 Ford I got. So yeah, so that's my addiction. Don't drink, don't smoke, everything goes into the car. So yeah.
and providing practical examples of power to weight ratios, Kerry brought along his motor, bolted to a T-bucket.
Picked it back up. I've owned it twice, so yeah, I got it back in 2012 after owning it a short stint prior to that. The car was originally built by Terry Belden back in the mid-80s for a guy called Dave Woods. Dave raced it and was running 9 seconds with a big block Chrysler in it back in the 80s. It was a pretty quick car, street legal and everything. I've repowered it with a big block Chev, 540 cubic inch motor, 871 blower. Haven't got it completely ready yet to go on the street or the strip, but it's close. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Next season, just watch the spot. The engine builder expects around 1,000 to 1,100 horsepower at the moment before we step it up, bigger cam and bigger carburation and different fuel. So, you know, we're expecting probably somewhere up around the 1,400 horsepower later on down the track. And the car only weighs about 950, 980 kg. So, you know, the numbers are there. Me nowadays, because I'm older, I'm in my mid-40s, so it takes a couple of days by the time I get home. I'm from Dunedin, so yeah, when I was younger, you'd be straight back in it Monday and you'd be all right. But yeah, you notice it as you get older.
That's us for this episode of NAC Car Culture. Thanks for tuning in. Coming up next week, we check out John Cooper's Muzzy, packing big block Chev power and true street and strip engineering. We catch up with the Go Fast guys from Wanganui's Rivers Speed and Spares and show, shine and circle work at the Waikato Auto Fest. See you then. NAC Car Culture was proudly brought to you by NAC Insurance, specialists in modified and high performance cars, Mount Shop, undercar specialists and Teng Tools. Get organised.